I hired a private investigator to follow my girlfriend. What he found destroyed me. I never thought I'd be that guy, the one who secretly hires a private investigator because he doesn't trust his girlfriend. But here I am, sitting in my car at 2 a.m., staring at photos I wish I'd never seen. Let me back up. My name's Ryan. I'm 29, work in IT, and up until 3 weeks ago, I thought I was in the happiest relationship of my life. My girlfriend Emily and I had been together for 2 years. She's funny, charming, and way out of my league. At least, that's what my friends always said. I met her at a friend's wedding, and we just clicked. Everything was perfect, until it wasn't. It started with small things. She began getting too busy to hang out. Late nights at work, phone always on silent, texting under the table. She'd laugh when I asked who she was talking to and say, "You're being paranoid." But here's the thing. I wasn't always paranoid. I've been cheated on before, years ago, and it messed me up pretty bad. Emily knew that. She promised she'd never do anything to make me feel that way again. But lately, it felt like history was repeating itself. One night, she told me she had a girls' night out. She left in a black dress I'd never seen before, smelling like expensive perfume. I remember joking, "You're sure it's not a date night?" She just rolled her eyes and left. That night, she didn't answer my texts. She didn't come home until 2 a.m. When I asked her how it was, she said, "Fun, but I'm exhausted." Then she went straight to bed. No kiss, no cuddle, nothing. Something inside me snapped that night. The next day I started Googling private investigators near me. I didn't really plan to go through with it. I thought maybe just knowing I could would make me feel better. But the thought of being lied to, again, was killing me. So I called a guy named Mark Spencer, a retired cop turned PI. Mark's voice was calm, professional. "You're not the first guy to make this call," he said. "Tell me what's going on." I told him everything, the missed calls, the secretive texts, the sudden overtime. He listened quietly, then said, "Give me a week, I'll find out what's really going on." A week later, I got the call that changed everything. When Mark first called, his tone was off. Not the confident, reassuring tone from before. This time, he sounded tense. "Ryan, can we meet in person? There's something you should see." My heart sank. We met at a diner off Highway 9. Mark slid a manila envelope across the table. "Everything's in there," he said. I could see in his eyes that it wasn't good news. I opened it. Inside were photos, dozens of them. Emily, my Emily, laughing at dinner with a man I'd never seen before, holding hands, kissing in a parking lot, getting into his car. I couldn't breathe. It was like my chest collapsed in on itself. Mark cleared his throat. "There's more." I followed them for 3 nights. Same guy every time. Different locations, always affectionate. I just sat there, staring at her face, trying to process it. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I'd marry, had been lying to me for weeks. But then I noticed something strange. In one of the photos, the guy she was with looked familiar. I couldn't place him right away, but there was something about his jawline, his build, something off. "Do you know who he is?" Mark asked. I shook my head. "No, but I feel like I've seen him before." That feeling would haunt me for days. For days, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those pictures. Emily laughing, kissing that guy, acting like I never existed. I didn't tell her right away. I needed to know who he was first. Something about him felt too close, too familiar. I went through her social media, old posts, tagged photos, even her friends' accounts. Nothing, not a trace of him. Whoever this guy was, he was careful. 3 nights later, Mark called again. "Ryan, I think I've got an ID on the guy." My stomach dropped. He said the man's name was Derek Lawson. He'd found his license plate, ran it through some old police databases, and matched him through facial recognition. Derek was 31, lived about 20 minutes away, worked in real estate. But then Mark said something that made my blood run cold. "Ryan, does the name Lawson mean anything to you?" I froze. Yeah, it did. Because Lawson was the last name of my best friend from college, Matt Lawson, and Derek looked eerily like him, but that couldn't be right, could it? Matt lived across the country, in Seattle. We hadn't seen each other in years. Still, I couldn't shake the thought. So I did something stupid. I messaged Matt. "Hey man, random question. You got any family in New York?" He replied a few minutes later. "Yeah, my younger brother Derek. Why?" I just stared at the screen. I didn't answer him. Because now, everything made sense. Emily wasn't just cheating on me. She was sleeping with my best friend's brother, a guy I'd met once, years ago, at Matt's graduation party. And she thought I'd never find out. That weekend, I decided to confront her. I waited until Saturday night. She told me she was meeting a client for work, which I now knew meant meeting Derek. I acted casual. "Want me to drop you off?" She laughed nervously. "No, it's fine. It'll be quick." The moment she left, I followed her. Mark had taught me how to tail someone without being obvious. I kept 3 cars behind her, never too close. She drove downtown, parked behind a hotel, and walked inside. I waited. After 10 minutes, I saw him, Derek, walk out of the lobby and meet her by the elevators. They kissed like teenagers. I felt something inside me crack. I wanted to storm in, scream, make a scene. But instead, I pulled out my phone and recorded everything. I don't know why. Maybe I needed proof for myself. Maybe I needed to see it to really believe it. After about 40 minutes, they came out again, smiling, holding hands, acting like nothing in the world could touch them. She didn't see me. That night, when she came home, I was sitting at the kitchen table with my laptop open. She froze when she saw me. "Hey, you're still up?" "Yeah," I said quietly. I had some things on my mind. Her smile faltered. "Everything okay?" I turned the screen toward her, the video of her and Derek outside the hotel. Her face went pale. "Emily," I said, my voice shaking. "Who the hell is Derek Lawson?" She just stood there, silent, her hands trembling. Then she whispered, "Ryan, I can explain." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, you can explain? Fantastic. Please enlighten me." She started crying. "It's not what you think." I slammed my hand on the table. "It's exactly what I think. You've been lying to me for weeks." Then she said something that stopped me cold. "Ryan, Derek hired me." "What?" I blinked. "Hired you? For what?" She wiped her tears. He's not my boyfriend, he's my client." I frowned. "Your client? You work in marketing? What the hell are you talking about?" She hesitated, then whispered, "I don't work in marketing anymore." I just stared at her. "Then what do you do, Emily?" She looked away, ashamed. "I work for a private escort agency." My world tilted. I thought I'd misheard her. She kept talking, her voice breaking. "It's not what you think. I don't do it full time. It started last year when my mom got sick. The medical bills were insane. My job barely covered rent. I didn't know what else to do." I felt sick. She was shaking. "I was going to tell you, Ryan. I swear. I wanted to stop. But then Derek, he offered me so much money for one weekend. I didn't even know who he was until I met him." I stood up. My hands were trembling. "So what? You've been selling yourself behind my back? Lying to me every night?" She nodded, crying harder now. I didn't know what to say. I just walked out. I got in my car and drove for hours. And that's when it hit me. Maybe the real reason Mark had sounded so tense wasn't just because she cheated, but because he'd discovered something deeper. I called him the next morning. "Mark, when you said there was more, what did you mean?" He sighed. "Ryan, you need to come to my office. Now." Mark's office was on the second floor of a rundown strip mall, tucked between a pawn shop and a tattoo parlor, the kind of place that smelled like cigarette smoke and old secrets. When I walked in, he was already waiting for me. There was a pot of coffee on his desk and another manila folder sitting next to it. He didn't smile this time. "Ryan, what I'm about to show you, you need to stay calm." I nodded, though my heart was already pounding in my ears. He opened the folder. Inside were printed documents, screenshots, and more photos. "This isn't just about Emily cheating," he said. "It's about who she's been involved with." He pointed to a photo, a grainy shot of Derek shaking hands with a man in a gray suit. "Recognize him?" I squinted. "No, who's that?" Mark exhaled. "That's Anthony Vega. He runs an illegal escort and laundering operation downtown. Derek's one of his middlemen. Your girlfriend? She wasn't lying. She was hired, but not just as an escort. My mind was spinning. What do you mean? She's been helping Derek move money, transfers, fake invoices, cover stories. It's all under her name. Whether she knows it or not, she's connected to Vega's operation now. I sank into the chair. You're telling me she's involved in crime? Mark nodded grimly. Whether she realizes it or not, yes, I've seen this before. They find women like her, desperate, scared, maybe in debt, and use them as a front. She probably thinks she's doing something harmless, but if the feds crack down, her name will be on the paperwork. My stomach twisted. Jesus Christ! He leaned closer. That's why I called you in. I didn't want to say this over the phone. You needed to see it. I rubbed my face. What do I do? Mark hesitated, then said quietly, If I were you, I'd walk away. Don't confront her again. Don't try to save her. These people don't let go easily. But I couldn't. I couldn't just leave her to get swallowed by this mess. She had lied, yes, but she had also been desperate. And a part of me still loved her, even after everything. So I did the stupidest thing I've ever done. I decided to save her myself. That night, I went to her apartment. I'd been staying at a friend's place since the fight, but I still had a key. When I walked in, she was sitting on the couch, staring at her phone, eyes red from crying. When she saw me, she froze. Ryan? I talked to Mark, I said quietly. Her face went pale. Is it true? I asked. About Vega, about the money. She looked away, whispering, You weren't supposed to know. So it is true? Tears welled in her eyes. Ryan, please. I didn't mean to get involved. They told me it was just bookkeeping, just fake receipts. I didn't know it was dirty money until it was too late. I sat down beside her, trying to keep my voice calm. Emily, listen to me. You have to go to the police. She shook her head violently. No, you don't understand. If I talk, they'll kill me. That's when I realized how deep this went. I reached for her hand, but she pulled away. They already warned me. I tried to back out once, and they sent someone to my apartment. They said if I told anyone, they'd come after you too. I froze. Me? She nodded. They know your name, Ryan. They know where you work. I felt the air leave my lungs. This wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was survival. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my car outside her building, watching every shadow, every movement, waiting for something. Anything. Around midnight, a black SUV pulled up across the street. 2 men stepped out, both in dark coats, heads down. They didn't go into her building. They just waited. I grabbed my phone and called Mark. They're here, I whispered. 2 guys, black SUV. He cursed under his breath. Stay put. I'll be there in 10 minutes. But in those 10 minutes, everything went to hell. The men crossed the street, went inside the building, and didn't come out. I panicked. Without thinking, I ran after them. I took the stairs 2 at a time, heart hammering. Her apartment door was slightly open. I pushed it and froze. Emily was standing against the wall, one of the men gripping her arm. The other turned toward me, surprised. Who the hell are you? He barked. I didn't think. I just charged. We crashed into the coffee table, glass shattering. He swung at me, but I ducked and hit him in the ribs. The other guy shoved Emily aside and pulled something from his jacket. A gun. Don't move, he yelled. Then, bang, I hit the floor. My ears rang. The gun wasn't pointed at me. Mark stood in the doorway, his own gun smoking. Police! He shouted, flashing a badge I didn't even know he had. Drop it. The second man ran. Mark tackled him halfway down the hall. I just sat there, shaking, staring at Emily, alive, crying, and terrified. When it was over, the cops came. Mark had already called backup. They arrested both men and Emily. I tried to stop them. She didn't know. She didn't know what she was part of. Mark just looked at me sadly. Ryan, it's out of our hands now. The next 48 hours were a blur of fluorescent lights, cold coffee, and unanswered questions. I sat in a police station, staring at my hands while an officer took my statement. Across the hall, Emily was being questioned. Every time I glanced toward the interrogation room, I could see her silhouette, slumped over, small, broken. Mark paced the hallway like a man who'd seen too much. When he finally walked over to me, I said, "You told me you were a private investigator, not a cop." He exhaled. "Technically, I'm both." I frowned. He rubbed his temple. "I left the force 5 years ago, but when I caught wind of Vega's operation again, I started feeding information to my old unit. That's why I took your case, Ryan. Because the name Derek Lawson came up in our files months ago." I stared at him. "Wait, are you saying I was bait?" Mark shook his head quickly. "No, you were a client who stumbled into something we were already investigating. But once you mentioned Emily's name and the connection to Lawson, we realized we might finally have a way to expose Vega's ring. I didn't know whether to thank him or punch him. So, what happens to her now?" I asked. He hesitated. "That depends on what she tells us. If she cooperates, she might get immunity, but if Vega suspects she talked, she'll need to disappear. Witness protection level." My stomach sank. She wasn't just someone I'd loved. She was now a key witness in a federal case. Later that night, I went home to my empty apartment. Everything felt wrong. The silence, the smell of her perfume still lingering in the air. I sat down on the couch and stared at the wall until the sun came up. Then my phone buzzed. A message from a number I didn't recognize. Unknown. "You think you're a hero, huh? You should have stayed out of it." My blood ran cold. Another message followed. "We know where you live, Ryan." I called Mark immediately. He answered on the first ring. "Mark, they know." "Yeah," he cut me off. "I figured this might happen. Pack a bag. You're coming with me." Within an hour, we were driving toward an FBI safe house outside the city. My mind was racing. So what now? I'm in danger because of her. He didn't answer right away. Then he said something I didn't expect. Because of her, and because of me. I frowned. "What are you talking about?" He tightened his grip on the steering wheel. "Ryan, I wasn't completely honest with you. I didn't just take your case because of Vega. I took it because your name was already connected to the investigation." My heart skipped. "What?" He looked over at me. 2 months ago, someone transferred $40,000 into your bank account from a dummy corporation. That corporation belongs to Vega's network." I blinked in disbelief. "That's impossible! I've never—" "I know," Mark said. "But they used your identity, probably through Emily. She had access to your personal info, right? Your banking, your ID, maybe even your tax forms?" I nodded slowly, realization hitting me like a brick. "Yeah. She used my laptop sometimes. She knew all my passwords." Mark's voice hardened. "Then you were their perfect cover. Vega's been laundering money through fake accounts. And one of them was yours." I felt my stomach drop. So, not only had I been cheated on, I'd been used. At the safe house, Mark made some calls while I sat on the couch, trying to keep from falling apart. Hours passed before an FBI agent came in. She introduced herself as Agent Walker. Mid-30s, sharp suit, sharper eyes. She placed a file on the table. "Mr. Davis, I'll be blunt. Your girlfriend, Emily Carter, has agreed to testify against Vega and Derek Lawson. But the evidence shows that $40,000 was funneled through your account. If you can't prove you didn't know about it, you could be charged as an accessory." I stared at her, stunned. "You think I was involved?" She didn't blink. "We think you were unknowingly used. But in court, that won't matter unless Emily cooperates fully." I leaned forward. "Where is she?" "She's in protective custody. She's scared, but she's talking. If she keeps it up, you'll both walk free." Both. The word stuck in my mind. Because as much as I hated her for lying to me, a part of me still didn't want to see her hurt. 3 days later, I finally got to see her, through a reinforced glass window at a secure facility. She looked exhausted, pale. But when she saw me, she smiled weakly. "Ryan," she whispered. I picked up the phone. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Because I didn't want you to see what I'd become. You were the only good thing in my life, and I couldn't stand to lose you." I swallowed hard. "You lost me the moment you lied." She nodded. "I know." There was a long pause. Then she said quietly, "They're not done, Ryan. Vega has people everywhere. even inside law enforcement. I frowned. What are you talking about? She leaned closer to the glass. Mark, you can't trust him. My blood froze. What? Before I got arrested, Derek told me something, she whispered. He said Mark used to work for Vega. He only flipped sides when things went bad. And Vega still has dirt on him. I shook my head. No, he saved us. He shot one of Vega's guys. Her voice trembled. Exactly. He had to make it look real. Ryan, if you don't believe me, check his old files. You'll see. The line cut off. The guard signaled the visit was over. I sat there, stunned. If what she said was true, the one person I'd trusted through all this might not have been on my side at all. That night, while Mark slept in the next room of the safe house, I quietly turned on his laptop. He'd left it on the desk, unlocked. My hands shook as I searched through his folders, reports, surveillance logs, old case notes. Then I found it, a file named Vega 2019. Inside were photos of Vega's crew. One of them showed Mark, smiling beside Vega himself. I felt sick. He hadn't just known Vega. He'd worked for him, and if Emily was right, I was now alone, trapped in a house with the one man who'd been playing both sides all along. I sat in the dark safe house kitchen, staring at Mark's laptop screen. The photo of him smiling beside Vega glowed like a warning flare. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but where could I go? My name was on dirty bank transfers. The people after us had reach everywhere, and the only person who might help me was now the one I didn't trust. I copied the entire folder onto a flash drive and slipped it into my pocket just as Mark's footsteps echoed down the hall. Can't sleep? He asked. Yeah, I muttered, forcing a smile. Just making coffee. He poured himself a cup, talking casually about how the Bureau would wrap this up soon. But the way he watched me, calm, almost rehearsed, made my stomach twist. When he finally went back to bed, I grabbed the keys to the car and left. At dawn, I met Agent Walker in the city. I handed her the flash drive. I found something, I said quietly. You need to see it, before Mark does. She opened one of the files, scanned the image, and her face went pale. Where did you get this? From his laptop. Walker closed the computer and stood up. Ryan, you need to come with me right now. Within hours, a second team raided the safe house. They found Mark's phone loaded with encrypted messages, payments, location data, and one chilling note from Vega's network. Use the boyfriend. Keep him close. He'd been playing both sides exactly as Emily warned me. When they brought him in, Mark didn't deny it. He just looked tired. You were never supposed to get pulled into this, kid, he said as they cuffed him. But once money moves in circles like that, no one gets out clean. Emily testified a week later. Her cooperation helped dismantle Vega's operation. Dozens arrested, the laundering ring shut down. She took a deal that cleared my name completely. Before entering witness protection, she sent me one final letter. Ryan, I know you'll never forgive me, and I don't deserve it. But I hope when you think of me, you remember that, for once, I tried to do the right thing. Thank you for saving me, even when I didn't deserve saving. I never saw her again. Sometimes late at night, I still check my phone, expecting a message from an unknown number. A quiet, I'm safe. It never comes. But every time I look at the flash drive, now sealed in an evidence bag, I remember how close I came to losing everything. And how trust, once broken, doesn't shatter all at once. It cracks quietly, until one day you realize the whole thing was glass.